I am curious as to how many of your minds have been changed when it comes to CJ Stroud. How is he comparing to the other rookie quarterbacks thus far this season? How is he comparing to the defensive alternate options? Let's talk about it. It's another episode of NFL Rookie Watch.
NFL Rookie Watch.
Why didn't the Texans lose the last game of the year so they could get Bryce Young?
2023.
Why did the Texans trade up for Will Anderson?
Young man, young man, young man, young man. I said young man, young man, young man, young man. I said
Talking about young men.
young man, young man, young man. I said
So Stroud's clearly been the best guy. You're going to see some people pushing Anthony Richardson as a better rookie than CJ Stroud. And I'm guessing that these are the people that watch NFL Red Zone. Because Richardson's highlights are very, very flashy. He will occasionally do something that's truly impressive. But ultimately, when you're a sub 50% completion percentage guy in a game, and in the two games that you've played the majority of, your team is 0-2. It does have to be held against you. But he's certainly fun, and he certainly can run. As far as Bryce Young goes, my God, they need help. I think it's unfair to say that Young's a failure. It's unfair to say that Stroud is definitely going to be better than Young, but you got to feel really good about the Texans getting Stroud instead of Young right now, because man, they're just not letting Young do a whole lot. He doesn't have much to throw to, and he just seems very uncomfortable there. And that can, if it continues, I think that can be perhaps be David Carr-esque, where he just becomes a quarterback that's consistently gun-shy, which is something he wasn't when he was at Alabama. Sean, you're making a face.
I was just thinking about Carolina, specifically Frank Reich, because before the season started, we thought that Carolina had like at least some decent options around him and a decent coach. Adam Thielen. Like if you compare the Texans' weapons and the Panthers' weapons, you'd probably go with the Panthers before the season. And now, I think this Frank Reich, quarterback genius, quarterback guru, offensive genius. For what? What does he still get to dine out on the Carson Wentz 13 awesome games and then winning a Super Bowl with Nick Foles when there's like 4 other guys on that offensive coaching staff that are better coaches than him? How long does he get to like be a good quarterback developer without ever developing a quarterback?
He's never developed one. That's the crazy thing.
Even like Carson Wentz, it's like, congrats.
Yeah.
That's your success story.
We hate Frank Reich in Houston, so we might be a little biased because of the whole Bills-Oilers thing.
No, well, he did that to Tennessee fans should be mad about.
Right, that's the Titans.
That's Titans history.
Forgot about that. Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't know. Like, I think Carolina and Chicago, funny, both of them are terrible. They both got so much love this offseason.
They did.
As like potential like winners of their divisions.
Chase Claypool, by the way, for the Bears, deactivated already. They traded essentially a first-round pick for Chase Claypool. Everyone was lauding Ryan Poles for that trade, getting out of the number 1 spot as well. And I mean, cool. You got a lot. I know Bears fans were in my mentions when I was saying, like, I don't see Ryan Poles somehow getting a huge haul for that number 1 overall pick. Okay, great, he did, but now you're stuck with Justin Fields. And as far as the Panthers go, yeah, DJ Moore would be great right now for any young quarterback. Would the Panthers have had an ability to draft any of those 3 guys that are available, and specifically the latter 2, Stroud? Probably not, because he went 2nd overall. But Richardson, would they have had a chance to get him?
Yeah, they would have made the trade with Arizona instead of Houston. Yeah,
if they just stuck around, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it is. Just, and then with how this year's draft is looking like at quarterback, at least like the first 2 guys. Like every year we kind of overrate next year's quarterback class, but like with Caleb Williams and Drake May, like nope, these guys I feel pretty confident in are going to go 1-2, or at least going to go in the top 3 or 4 and going to be pretty good prospects. So to throw all your chips in for a guy who's 5'10" on a good day, and then
I'm taller than him.
and then surround him with nothing because you traded all your first-round picks to go up and get him,
And your offensive line sucks.
and your offensive line stinks, and you don't. Adam Thielen's your best receiver. Miles Sanders is your running back. This Carolina is kind of Carolina and
Not
Chicago.
kind of, they are
both like absolute disasters,
They
and
are.
it feels good for the Texans, I'm sure, to look around the league and be like, wow, we're probably not like a bottom 10 situation or bottom 10 like disaster show of an organization.
I think there's an argument to be made that right now they are a top half of the league organization. I don't know how.
I was going to put them at least top 20, but yeah, that they're like an average organization right now.
That's not that hard to do right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy, and that's the D'Amico Ryans effect, but it's also the quarterback effect. If Stroud truly looks good, we'll talk more about Stroud specifically at 11:30. As far as the defensive alternatives for the Texans, there is an ex-Jet scout who has been crushing Will Anderson, among other players, because they're looking at the sack number and they're saying, what? He only has 1 sack in 4 games? I'll be honest, I don't watch defensive line play, but there's a piece in the Houston Chronicle from today about how Will Anderson is so good he wrecks practice for the Houston Texans. He has been double-teamed, Will Anderson, on 28% of his pass rush snaps. Only Nick Bosa, 33%, and Micah Parsons, 29%, have been double-teamed more. And from a pass rush win rate perspective, he is third in the NFL behind only Micah Parsons, Boye Mafa, and Will Anderson. I think the numbers are going to come. You can't focus on the sack numbers in 2023. You could have a couple of years ago, but admit it, you're not watching defensive line play. Anderson has had an impact on this team. There's no denying that. He obviously had the blocked field goal too, in addition to having that sack. I like what I've seen out of Anderson thus far. I think he's continuing what he was doing in training camp and in the preseason. But I also can understand how there might be some people out there that are looking at what Jalen Carter is doing in Philadelphia, a better situation. He's continuing to play well. Or they're looking at another rookie that could have been taken by the Houston Texans. That's Devon Witherspoon. And I think you also have to add a little bit of context with Devon Witherspoon, the corner out of Illinois that the Seahawks drafted. He had a pick 6 and 2 sacks in Monday Night Football for the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll is maybe the best coach in the NFL when it comes to getting the most out of players in his secondary. Take a look at Tariq Woolen, a guy who they drafted, 4th, 5th round last year. So, of course, Witherspoon's in a fantastic situation. He also has Woolen on the other side. But Witherspoon is somebody, especially with Derek Stingley being out for a long period of time. I can understand why some people are like, well, you could have stayed in the same spot that you were at, and maybe you could have got Devon Witherspoon or something like that. Anyway, whatever the case, Anderson is having a good season. Don't get pissy about Will Anderson, okay? That's all.